Alright, and we're here for episode 2 of Tier E here on the Challenge series, having to work around background noise. Also, summer, so going to try and make the episode a little quicker so I can turn the fan back on. We have more GT3 racing. It's business as usual, basically. You have Laguna Seca, Zandvoort, Brands Hatch, and Red Bull Ring. 2 good tracks and 2 very meh tracks. With the point standings, it is very close between the top 5. Notori with an outside chance if fate permits. But honestly, anybody else already kind of starting to lose the plot here. I'll just jump into Laguna Seca before I start overheating. We're at the starting grid for Laguna Seca. And, well, I'm in a good spot to maintain my points lead. Travis Wild in a position where he can maybe close the gap a little bit on myself, and especially Yoshiro, who's not even starting in the top 10. And this is a track where raw power is not enough to make overtakes happen. Actually, not much really. There really isn't much that can make overtakes happen here. It's just the AI just don't do it at this track. Travis is slow off the line as ever. So I guess he is not in a position to close the gap on me. Hyde Kido is already going on the offensive for the lead, but around the outside of turn 2, not always likely to work, so he retreats. Now prepare for 6 laps of basically 500 horsepower Congo line. Usually how it goes with Laguna Seca. I'm already up to 3rd, closing in on the 2 leaders. I've already overtaken Travis and Tyler. Tyler also having fallen victim to the raw power of the 935. I'm sure he also upper placed. You're already up to 3 places, so she has 1 point on the board so far. Can she increase that? Well, I guess we'll see. It is very, very processional through the last turn, apparently. Hyde still searching for a way around Lene. Interesting lead group here between Lene and Hyde. You would think it'd just be more friendly competition, but it's never quite that simple with these two. That's as I'm told. Riley is in the no, not quite. She's overtaken Hikari, so I was gonna say Riley being in dead last is not a common sight, even as she started in last. They're actually not running too well at his home course. Taylor gonna send it on Cam for a mere 11th place. She gets to his inside, and there's not much the other driver can do at that point besides just let it happen. I don't think I'm going to be catching the leaders. running well over a second a lap slower than them due to my vehicle's lack of cornering. Now Hyde is going to try too wide through turn 2, but once again, he retreats. An actual human would have probably thought to make a crossover attack there, but I don't know if the AI really has that function in place. I feel like we're going to be stuck in kind of an endless loop here with Mr. Hyde. Tyler is going to be hard pressed to use his cornering to make a pass on that Porsche for 4th. He also needs to be careful that his any attempt he makes at passing doesn't make him susceptible to being passed by literally behind him. Yoshiro has yet to make any more progress, having kind of hit a wall with Wojciechowski here. And the, basically, like, domino train. Never mind, she has decided she's had enough, and she's gonna send it both on Eric and on Miyako. And that's a double pass right there. She has decided to get the sand out of her shoes and get on with it. The gear ratio in this vehicle is so short, it sounds weird to me. Still just about nose to tail for this duo. And still the distance between myself and Travis, and the distance between myself and the leaders, and the distance just continues to grow. Either way, this race is precisely what I need to retain the points lead, with Yoshiro only scavenging a handful of points. Gives Gina a bit of a bump. Sort of like a bit of a hurry up warning, I almost think. Normally Cascad's not very aggressive, but I suppose when the championship lead is on the line, and she's had to sit in traffic this whole race, she's probably starting to get a little bit impatient. Also, this giant train is of course being caused by Travis Wild, so... Travis locks up into one, but Tyler unable to capitalize. Superior handling usually does not cut it with AI. Overtakes only seem to ever happen if the person doing the overtaking has more power. You can't just out-corner somebody as an episode of Corsa AI. Which is simply not how the world works, I guess. Another little bump to the GTR driver ahead. Clearly Yoshiro's absolutely had enough of something that Gina's doing. Monet has missed turn 1 once again. Does Hyde brave it out this time? Probably not, no. He's a little loser. That's what he is. You gotta send those, Hyde. Otherwise you'll be stuck in second place for the rest of your life. Is this what you want or something? when they went wide in the corkscrew as well, but Hyde just doesn't seem intent on making her pay for any mistakes that she's clearly making. And as a direct result of that, Linnea is going to win the opening round of this episode. Even though Hyde was very obviously the faster driver here. I will take a pretty important podium finish. And Travis will survive to take 4th place at a track where, if it were wider, he probably wouldn't even be finishing in points. Not the race Yoshiro needed, just couldn't navigate traffic. And Blaszczowski will take the final point. I have now gained a 7-point lead. Blaszczowski is also apparently in the title battle, which I had forgotten that. At this point, it is basically between the top 4. Linnea could win again and be in position, but the odds of that are not super high. Outside of the event where she begins the next race on pole. Thrasher's still with a mere 2 points, probably a byproduct of his defiance in the idea of driving a modern AMG and only wanting to drive the SLS. Alright, I'm gonna just move on to Zandvoort next for another conga line race, basically. And here on the starting grid of a very cloudy looking Zandvoort, and man, Riley just continuously getting kicked while she is down by the starting grid. And I'm not really looking too worse for wear starting 2nd place. If I need to look at my horsepower, can get me off the line ahead of Cam and I can just cruise away, but it always seems easier in concept, doesn't it? Although, even if I can't do that, Eric and Yoshiro not really getting the greatest of starting spots. Eric starting outside of the points, same with Yoshiro, but Travis also not super well off, 10th in a car that's going to be 12th by the time we get to the first corner. I did not go for the immediate pass on Cam, much to my shock. But I mean, I've certainly got time as long as I keep Nittori in my rear view, which that's not the way to do that at all. That's not Nittori either, that's Linnea. Using the power of, well, engine. I have maintained 2nd for the moment, but honestly, that's quite a gap that Cam has obtained. I don't think the straightaway here is going to be enough to, like, fix that. So, I may just be relegated to defending 2nd place, unless I light a fire in my behind. Meanwhile, the 2 Lamborghinis are fighting in my mirrors for 3rd place. The 3rd Lamborghini also joined the battle for 3rd to basically make the world's fastest package of Skittles. Like the Brazilian flag. Made out of Lamborghinis and drivers that do not hail from Brazil. Eric has made no progress. Yoshiro has made no progress. Nobody's made progress. Just point blank, period. Yeah, that was a nearly 5-second lead at the line. I think Cameron is going to be pretty much uncontested here. Meanwhile, Taylor has just passed Nitori into turn 1. She's looking for double. She's gonna maybe get double. Indeed, she will declare herself temporarily the greatest Lamborghini driver on the field at the moment. On the field, in the field. Now, whether or not she can get around to me is a different question, but the amount of horsepower she's having to contend with, not super likely. Since, as previously explained, the AI don't like to try passes, and even fewer will they succeed unless they have more power than their opponent. So, in saying this, Taylor almost just went right around my outside. Another error for Nitori has allowed Hikari to get alongside as we head through the last couple of turns. Still too wide. Hikari has found some sand, and that's going to not only throw away his chances of passing the Lamborghini driver, but he's also going to lose a spot to Katsumi, and also another one to Tyler as well, due to the fact that he also found a curb immediately after. He tried to contest the pass for 7th from McIntosh, but to no avail. Katsumi is now all over the Brazilian triage of Lamborghinis, ready to pounce if any one of them makes any bad choices. Nitori senses an opportunity, but the opportunity is not properly seized as she bounces off the curb. However, she is able to ship it in and almost run Taylor off the track. Kept it clean for the most part, and Taylor is going to not only survive the onslaught from the Kappa, but also get alongside Lene. Meanwhile, Nitori has also been overtaken by Miyako as a result of the, mistakes that I mentioned offhand. They 100% happen. Nitori had enough and sent it back on Miyako, but once again, no avail. And nobody else has gotten anywhere. Yoshiro has gotten 2 Travis's back, but just can't find an opportunity to pass. Probably due to the fact that the 935 has a stupid amount of horsepower as soon as you get out of that corner. Yeah, there's not really much you can do about that. You can try and outbrake it all you want, Yoshiro. It's not gonna matter. Since Hikari has since been passed by Gina, and now it is Tyler has gotten around Nitori, and it is Taylor versus Lene once more. After Taylor had just defended from the Z4, now she's gonna try and take 3rd away once again, and she shall. But none have an answer for the amount of power that my car has as soon as we escape the cornering. As I've just noticed the angry Riley, who, I'll be honest, that was kinda her fault. She massively hopped over a curb, and Thrasher can't really go any further to the left without being run off the track. The only thing Thrasher could even hope to have done would maybe be slow down if he hit the brakes, but that's a lot of reaction time that you would need to have to predict that Riley is going to make that mistake. And he might have already been on the brakes as was. We'll see though. I mean, he floored it. Okay, so that excuse goes out the window. He was flooring it there, which he really shouldn't even have been doing that. I would say that's more close to a racing incident, but I would think Riley kinda dug her own grave there. As somebody who won this tier in the previous year, she's not looking like herself, to say the least. Starting grid spots, not helping, but she's recovered from grid spots like that in the past with no issues, and now all of a sudden she is having an absolute meltdown. Cam is just straight up uncontested. He is just running like the wind. There's just nothing but clear skies ahead, or clear road ahead. Skies are absolutely not clear. He might have a nearly 20-second lead by the time I get around to the start line. 18. Nothing really looks like, doesn't really look like anything is going to happen into T1. Never mind, here comes McIntosh. Sending down the BMW driver. Miyako managing to hang on the outside though, so that was bold defense. Tyler has apparently spooked Miyako out of the way, but she's gonna still not be done fighting that battle. And they're going to continue to be too wide as we go through these weird Kate S things. I'm not even sure if you call these S's or what the heck. Tyler has no choice but to back out, but Miyako has made an error, run over a curb, so the 650S driver is still back in business, and he's going to make the pass, and he's going to get around Lene as well, off the momentum coming from that. So the weird line has allowed Lene to deny that for the moment. Never mind, Tyler just about door slams the Lamborghini. Meanwhile, I'm fighting for my life against Taylor, who's finally decided to get things moving. I think, though, my horsepower is going to prevent that from changing hands. As Tyler's maneuvers calm down, Cam runs a personal best lap and takes a dominating 20-plus second victory here in Zandvoort. It seems all other hands have stopped working away. And I'm going to come home with a very crucial second place. Tyler wanted more, but the race is over, buddy. He wouldn't have gotten more because Lene post-race was like, yeah, no, mine. Victoria has had an absolute nightmare of a race compared to her fellow Lamborghini drivers who managed to finish 3rd, 4th. She comes home with a mere 8th place. Actually apparently passed Yoshiro. How'd that happen? Interesting development there. I have quite a bit of a points lead now. 19 points. Battle for second place though, pretty tight. If we ignore myself, the battle for second in points. 2nd through 8th are within a full race worth of points. Tyler only won off of that. And I also want to imagine that for the most part, a lot of my points have come from really good starting positions. I haven't really been making up places in the race. Nobody has. It's just been, I keep getting blessed by starting grid gods. And so, that will eventually run out. It's just a matter of when and how bad. Bad enough for my opponents to make up a 20-point lead. It's not impossible. But I guess we'll have to head-to-head. Wow. Brands Hatch. Well, I remember how to speak English. here at the starting grid of Brands Hatch. And now I have my work cut out for me, starting down there in 13th. This is everyone else's chance to maybe close in the gap, especially for Yoshiro, who is starting on the front row, and need only outrun Eric off the grid. They also in the neighborhood. And Cam not in a terrible spot. Eric could certainly use some redemption. So I would say he needs that front row. He needs that pole. No, Yoshiro does not get off the line super well. Eric will have that working for him here. Business as usual as we head towards the second turn. This is where things actually get spicy. Okay, Thrasher and Hyde are too wide. And inconclusive Gina is on Tyler's outside as we head towards the next set of corners. And this one's a pretty decisive turn. Hyde managed to pull ahead of Thrasher out of the clearly having a better exit. Tyler will attempt to follow through, but Thrasher's car has much more horsepower, apparently. Yoshiro is in the neighborhood. Unfortunately, the Maserati is clearly better in straight lines, and we don't have too many of those at Brands Hatch. Now when compared to the number of corners we have, where Eric will shine. Been, as I said, business as usual. Nothing really major has happened except for, so, how does this happen? Oh, Miyako just forces Hikari off the track and barely catches that Corvette. And when I say barely, I mean barely, so this was technically neither of their fault. It was just Miyako being greedy and taking up all of the racetrack. That's not the right camera. Yeah, Hikari is just, at this point Hikari is doomed. There is nothing he can do except for, bend over and kisses behind goodbye. And, like the splitter caught her rear tire and sent her careening. So, more terrible luck for Riley, who's scored 0 points so far this episode. Meanwhile, I myself have not managed to make much progress. Yoshiro has made a pass for the lead, and I feel like that was... I just didn't put the camera because I didn't think there'd be a pass yet. I figured it'd be into T1, but no. Yoshiro stole down the back straightaway, and now she is out of here. Once again, two Lamborghini drivers right next to each other on the track. Almost said McLaren, disregard that. My car just doesn't quite have the handling to hack it at this track, clearly. Yeah, so, well, other than that lap 1 scuffle, nothing doing, to be dead honest. I mean, you had Yoshiro take the lead, which is not caught on camera because I assumed that it wouldn't happen there. And that's, that's all that really has happened. And the only thing that's happened, I didn't even see. When the car in front is nose-to-tail with the car in front of them, it is really hard for the AI to want to think that it can position itself in there and pass one without, like, past the one, like, Tyler could pass Thrasher, but then what will he do once he gets to the next one? He's just gonna be stuck there. Me and Travis kind of sharing the wealth of failure here at this racetrack. Not terribly well suited for our vehicles. Even less so than Laguna Seca, which I thought that it couldn't get any worse for a power car than that track. Apparently, I am mistaken. Well, luckily, the law of coupled exchange would dictate that our next race will be basically designed for cars like mine and Travis. Since that's the Red Bull Ring. Our senses a possible opportunity to maybe make something happen in this race. That would certainly be a treat to witness. And that's about as clean as you'd like it there. Rode the curb smooth, and he will be able to defend into the hairpin, and Tyler has regained his original position from which he started the race. But he's not going to have time in this event to develop that any further, as we were on the last lap. Given more time, I think he would have probably had more positions. To be honest, he was already closing in pretty fast on Hyde and on Cameron. As Yoshiro heads out of the last turn. And for her, it is a very crucial win at Brands Hatch to close the points lead down to a more acceptable level. Eric will take second place, and he's still in the championship bid as well with that result. Nitori gets some vague redemption from the previous race by managing to withstand on the podium this time instead of losing 5 places. And eventually Travis Wild will arrive at the finish line. And so now, head into the Red Bull Ring, and it's a 4-point lead for me, 10 points between me and third place Eric, and only 1 more point behind that is Lene. Now it is a 19-point difference between me and Hitori, who is in 5th. Riley, despite her terrible luck in this episode, still maintains at 27 points that she scored from the first one, which is putting her in 8th. If she gets miraculously lucky, she can maybe turn that around, but I wouldn't be holding my breath. So now we will head into the Red Bull Ring. We're here on the starting grid for the Red Bull Ring, and yeah, clearly my starting grid luck has expired, as I'm starting 14th. Is it me, or does it seem like Thrasher and Tyler have always started in the middle of the starting grid every time? Happy days for Yoshiro, who, while not having the greatest starting line, or starting grid spot, certainly a lot higher than me or Eric, but Lene is looking mighty good right now. She would be very close to the points lead if the race ended that way. If the race ended with this is the running order. Can Gina manage to outstart the Huracan driver as we head towards the first corner? No, she instead almost just about reached the barrier on the inside of the track. And Riley is going to more than likely seize this opportunity and put herself into second place, almost in fourth for whatever reason. A bit later on the brakes, jump the curb, should get the exit off. GTR does have good like low speed acceleration, it's just the top speed and cornering on it leave a lot to be desired. It is still a contest, but eventually Riley has to just kind of wait. Already up one. Not really many advancements have been made so far. Of course, this is also only lap one. Driver's probably just kind of trying to comprehend what is happening before we get crazy. Not Riley, though, who's already thinking of making passes into turn 8 of all places. Like, just wait, Riley. He got 6 laps to make this pass. Don't overstress it. With the races you've had lately, you just need to focus on finishing this. The heck with, like, grandeur. No, just complete motor event. We have a dark horse candidate with Miyako in her Z4, but she's moving right now in this car, which is kind of underwhelming. Something has happened. Travis apparently just parted the Red Sea, or the Red Seas for Tyler, who's made himself up to 6th around Taylor. Heading down the front straightaway, Yoshiro looks for an overtake on Taylor. In the braking zone, a lot of curb for Yoshiro, and that was totally her fault. There's nowhere else Taylor can go at that point. That huge amount of curb that she took bounced her car outwards and right into the Lamborghini driver. Taylor manages to save it, I do believe. Just about. Takes a bit of a knock from Tyler, but she does manage to keep going. Unlike Yoshiro, who is now out of the race, and probably feeling a bit stupid because they just threw away their shot at taking away the points lead from me. If they just didn't do that. And I did not make that one work. Meanwhile, I think Eric was just overtaking Hikari up ahead. Cam was on my doorstep, but he offed himself trying to make a move.
Yo, Street
And Nissan is just really good out of corners of when Gina pilots it right. And that's been Riley's undoing up to this point on her quest for second. Taylor versus Tyler into turn 1. And, Taylor almost did the same thing that just happened to her a minute ago, but to Tyler, but manages to leave just enough space for them to not immediately commit car accident. No, Thrasher's watching this behind them and probably having minor panic attacks every time they go for a pass on one another. Possibilities in front of me, but I just don't have the handling to make them work, apparently. I figured a car like mine would be a shoo-in for this track, but apparently this car is just a Monza specialist, and everything else that I did well was luck. Once again, Tyler has been staring at Travis's rear bumper for much of this race, but there's nothing he can do about it because of the absolute difference in power between these two cars. Tearing up the streets. The 935 has been an interesting wrench in the works for this tier because it has so much more power than everything else that you could never hope to overtake it. But its handling is so much worse than everything else that he could never hope to make overtakes of his own. Not consistently. He can here because of the 4 long straightaways. Only 3. The one going into turn 8 is a decently long straightaway, but it's not passing zone anyway. Unlike the ones into turns 1, 3, and 4. See Travis kind of struggling just to keep the car pointing in the right direction. But once he does have it pointed in the right direction, there's nothing Tyler can do about it. Me and Nidori have both claimed points positions from Eric, who is apparently off of it right now. But Nidori is running away off into the sunset, and I seem incapable of keeping up. Even as I hit 170 into this corner, and then proceed to take the corner in slow motion. What is happening here? I saw some weird stuff happening up here. I'm just gonna confirm that what I think happened, and oh yeah, Taylor about committed burnout 3 on Tyler, and that is why this big checkup happened, because Thrasher then had to slow down for that, and that allowed me and Nidori to get up nice and close with him. Real nice and close. Oh my god, we were 3 wide there, none of us died. You never see 3 wide from these AI. Like, literally ever. This ain't no NASCAR heat game, but Thrasher is going to get absolutely mugged, and I'm gonna chicken out and not be able to get anywhere near passing Nidori even off of that pretty much silver platter opportunity to do so. Much to my shock, Riley has still not managed to find a way around the Nissan GTR. So either Gina had her Wheaties this morning, or Riley has just been completely thrown off of her Corvette game by her last 3 races, which I wouldn't say I necessarily blame her. Were that the case, they've not been great, and the last one at the very least was not really her fault at all. Is there anyone she can blame the driver in her rear view right now for that? So by whatever, you know, regardless of the means, Taylor is now ahead of Tyler. So at least those weird collisions can't happen again because, well, Taylor clearly had the better car. Thrasher at a small risk of being overtaken by yet more people. He doesn't get a move on. He's currently able to salvage 1 point, but not if Eric has anything to say about it. And I'm sure he'd love to. Okay, me, I've tried this before, it didn't work before. Exactly. Nothing. Well, it's definitely been an episode of uncontested victories. Lene is going to be the next one of those. She's won twice in this episode. This in Laguna Seca. And this time, there's nobody in her rearview mirror to make her think twice about it. Riley manages to recover to a podium. Gina with second place in the Nissan is quite a sight to see. I managed to salvage 2 points, which, to be honest, I thought I'd have more than that. And to say Yoshiro was probably feeling kind of dejected after that race would probably be an understatement. Because if she had just finished 6th, like she would have probably done if she never tried to pass at all, she would be pretty close to me right about now. But Lene is now the points leader, and the top 4 within 1 race of points. Travis somehow hanging on to 5th in points for dear life. I don't know how he's still there. And, yeah, there's really not much else to be said about this. Like I said, I'll just conclude matters here in this episode. Next time we're looking at Magione, Imola, Vallelunga, and Barcelona. So, a meh track, a usually good track, a meh track, and a track that can vary greatly. But when all of the cars are mostly equal terms, I'm going to go ahead and lean towards meh track for Barcelona. So look forward to Imola in the next episode.